This review is actually all about the Ecoboost motor. Well, not all about, but that's the important bit. It's a 2.3 four-cylinder motor, and yes, that takes away some of the Americana of the car. But before we come to that, let's just evaluate what the Ecoboost motor can actually do. Let's go to the track apps, 0 to 100 kph. .5 seconds. That was not the most efficient way of doing this. This looks almost exactly like the Mustang GT that Ford gave me almost a year ago. Drop a gear and enjoy 5 liters of democracy coming to you from Ford America. Ooh, look at that! Yes. Yes. Come on, now that looks badass. That's got quite a bit of camber too. And it's lowered and everything like that. Actually, we have the good sign coming up. Let's not talk about any of this Bullschlag. So on, disco, good. So alright, in front of us, that is either a 3 Series or a 4 Series. I can't really see. No, I'm seeing 2 door handles. That is a 3 Series. Ah, yes, nice rough match. And there we go, 4th gear, punching it. 6 grand. 6.5. Full throttle. Obviously, whenever I can, I am going full throttle. Whenever I shoot these videos, anyways. Yeah, we're making up a bit of room. Yep, let me pass, and there we go. See ya later. Laters, buddy. Yeah, we have to lift, but it's like 242 or something is what we hit there. It's not got hardcore suspension, but it's so comfortable on the Autobahn during daily driving and all of that stuff. It does all of this very well. And then here, you feel that there are almost 1,700 kilos or so that the car has to move. And it takes like a tiny bit of a moment before the car actually reacts to your steering input. But it's not bad at all. It's a 16:1 steering ratio. There's just a very slight delay though. Don't get the idea that this is a super lazy turn-in or anything like that. Let me just demonstrate one more time. Turn in, and you see, little bit of lean. That is what's happening first, and then the response from the steering is all there. I just saw my black lines there and there. So from comfort to normal to sport, the difference essentially is that the steering gets heavier. But when you have it in sport mode, you can feel the differences in grip at the front wheels significantly under hard braking. And this is more so on wet surfaces. Now in comfort mode, most of that actually never gets to you, the driver, through the steering wheel. The Ecoboost comes as standard with a 255 Pirelli P0 square setup, so it's 255 in all 4 corners. Whereas with the Mustang GT, if you do not get the track pack there, which in Europe you cannot get, it's going to be 275s in the back and 255s in the front. The 75 kilogram difference in comparison to the GT. Look, it's been almost a year since I drove the GT. As far as I can remember, this is exactly what the GT felt like. Even though the brakes on this one are a little bit smaller than on the GT, it brakes just as well. The driving dynamics of the Mustang, and this includes the GT, are very cool for a road car anyways. I think for a track car, probably you want all of this to be a little bit more stiff. You can hustle it around a corner and it's not going to complain. It's not going to do any 1960s American muscle car things. None of this. It's pretty European as far as that's concerned. I like the driving dynamics quite a bit. The gearbox, I still like that very, very much. I've heard people complain about it because it's a Chinese product and they say it feels cheap. I don't think it feels cheap at all. It's got a nice short shift. Going through the gears, you can feel that they have very defined gates, meaning there's not a lot of wiggle room or anything like that. Boom, it's the sniper rifle thing. You can't really say that in 2017, can you? But probably sort of like that. So, good brakes, heel and toe down to third, and there we go. And I actually landed at 4,000 RPM, which is not optimal. You can actually very much tell the difference if you exit a corner at $4,000 or $4,500. And then from 6,000 to 6,500 RPM, you can feel that it's not quite so punchy. So you can short shift it, which works well. You end up right at 4,600 RPM. So right back in the sweet spot. The brakes are very good. Controlling the car under heavy braking works well. And then coming out of corners at 45, this actually worked out perfectly. 4,600 RPM coming out of that corner, and you do have quite a bit of power to go around. It's not quite as immediate as it is in the Mustang GT, because that is obviously still a naturally aspirated motor. But it is quick. It's only a very, very slight turbo lag that you have if you are at around 4,500 RPM anyways. Heel and towing, ref matching the Mustang, it is just such a cool thing to do, because I like how the gearbox feels, and the noise the engine and partially the speakers make is very cool. They have an amplifier that runs some of the sound through the speakers, so that means it's quite a bit more bassy than you would expect from a 4-cylinder engine. As far as I'm concerned, it sounds alright. Actually, quite a bit better than a lot of other 4-cylinder engines. And then it has to be said, the Ecoboost is quite a bit more efficient than the GT. In the Mustang GT, if you do 120 kph on the Autobahn, you get like 10 liters per 100 kilometers, maybe 10.5. In the Ecoboost, it's more like 8.5 to 9 liters, which is not that much of a significant difference. But once you start going faster, the Ecoboost is much more efficient. Having a backup camera is very nice. Having the beepers in the back, the beep, 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 beep. The PDC is very cool. I have cooled seats in the Mustang, which is, that is so nice to have on a warm day like today. We still have Sync 2 in this 2016 Mustang. It's not great, is it? What you always should get, though, is the shaker stereo, because that is very good. It's not the most refined thing ever, but the speakers up front are very good, and then you have a subwoofer. That means you can turn the stereo way up, and it's going to be sort of like back in high school where the bass makes things vibrate a little bit, but it's for the most part just this mirror. Like these door panels, they do not rattle when you play loud music. I need to go and drive the Camaro as well. In the meantime, though, it would be very cool if we could get an actual conversation, like a proper conversation going in the YouTube comments, which, yes, I understand that is not easy to do, but let's just try. Because I want to know, or have the Americans explain to me the culture that surrounds the muscle cars. Like, can you like a Chevy Camaro and still like a Mustang, or is that sort of an unspoken rule that you can't do that? Because in Germany, at least in the 80s and 90s, you couldn't like Opel and like VW. That did not work. If you want to buy a V8 Mustang in the Netherlands, it's going to cost you to the penny as much as it's going to cost you to buy a 911 Carrera. And this is because they have a gas guzzler tax, which is based on CO2 emissions. It's not pretty when it comes to the GT Mustang. And this is around 50,000 euros, a little less. That is still good value for money if you talk in terms of what cars cost in the Netherlands. Here in Germany, this is, as it sits right here, 41,600 euros. That is a steal. It seriously is a steal. Let's just say you wanted to spend 40,000 euros on the Ecoboost's competitors, European competitors. You're not looking at a 328i. Forget about it. No. You're going to be buying a 320i. Look, I'm not saying to spend 120 large on a Mustang. Don't do that. But if you can afford the Mustang GT and it makes any sense at all, you always get the Mustang GT. Or better, like the 350. Yeah, if you can get the 350, get the 350. But don't pay over sticker. I don't like that they make people pay over sticker. Don't do that. But if for whatever reason you can only buy the Ecoboost, look, the Ecoboost is still a boss of a car. It is such a boss still. Let's say the Mustang GT is the CEO of the Mustangs and this, CTO, this is still one boss of a car.